Hi, good morning. This is Crystal Liz with Seasons in the Vine, and it's Fresh Friday. And if you've been around any time at all, or if you're brand new, one thing you have to know about me is I don't like doing things that don't have meaning. And if they have meaning, I really want to understand it. I want to know why we do the things that we do. I want to know the heart behind it. I want to know the motive. If it's in church, I want to know the scripture behind it. I want to know why we do what we do. And most recently, and this will go along the message from last week, same things the Lord's been teaching me. Most recently, we've been in Holy Week, and we have been looked at Jesus's last days and his foot washing. And as I was pondering this, and even a part of foot washing service, I'm thinking deeply, what does this mean when Jesus says that we should do this for one another? What does he mean? It's more than foot washing. At least that's what I'm going to propose to you today. I think today, if you come on the journey with me, we might think even more deeply about foot washing and how we can be doing this every single day. And now some of you are like, yuck, I don't want to do it every day. Let me show you what I mean. So we're going to be in John 13, which is where the foot washing interaction is recorded. I'm going to start with verse 1, go through to where we need to stop, and then I'm going to get into what it means. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of the world, this world, to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, meaning the disciples, he loved them to the end. And so this is actually part of Jesus's final care for his disciples, the ones that he loved, the ones that were pulled out of the world to follow him so closely and to learn of him and to eventually become his apostles. And he loved them to the end. This is part of him loving them all the way to the end. Verse 2, during supper, when the devil had already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments and, taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Now we have this whole little discourse on Judas here. The devil had put it into his heart. That's just a statement in that. The devil put something into Judas's heart that pushed him forward into betraying Christ. But Jesus, knowing everything, but knowing very specifically that the Father had given all things into his hand, he has full authority of what's about to go down. He can stop it at any moment. He doesn't because he wants us. And that he also knows where it came from. Jesus is very sure. I came from my Father. I came from him. I'm going back to him. The things of this world don't have a final say on me. Verse 4, he rose from his supper. He laid aside his outer garments and, taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Pause there for just a second. Jesus knows everything has been given to him. And what does he do with that kind of power? What does he do with that kind of privilege? What does he do with that kind of authority? Jesus is a servant leader. As high as he is lowly. He does it on purpose. And so when he says do this for each other, he's saying, no matter how high up you go or your accolades or how many followers you have or how many people like you, serve. Think of others above yourself. Think of them. Think about what they need in this moment. So he knows all of these things are true about him, yet he takes off his outer garments. He set aside, just like he set aside all of those things to take on human flesh. We see him acting it out in a very physical sense. He came to Simon Peter, one of my favorite people in the Bible, who said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? And Jesus answered him, what I am doing, you don't understand right now. I think we can attest God does lots of things like that where we don't understand right now. But afterward, you will understand. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. And Peter is saying this in a way of like, you're so great. You are my Lord. You are my master. You're my teacher. How could you serve me? Shouldn't it be the other way around? That's what I'm saying, servant leadership. No, because I'm all of these things, I'm going to get low and I'm going to take care of you. That is the image here that's being presented. And Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no share with me. You have to be washed by Jesus. You have to receive the gift of cleansing. You have to. Even if you think you're too dirty, even if you think you're not worthy, even if you don't know why God would want to do that, you have to do it. You have to let him do it. That's salvation. That's coming into salvation. Verse 9, Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. So Peter gets it, and then of course goes above and beyond. Typical style for Peter. Jesus said to him, the one who has bathed does not need to wash, calm down, except for his feet, because he is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you. For he knew who was to betray him. That's why he said, not all of you are clean. Now this is interesting. So Judas is not clean. We can see that. He is different. So if we wonder about where Judas was, at this point, not clean. Even though he'd walked with Jesus, he cast demons out, he did everything the other disciples did, he was not clean. Which is all the more why we hear Jesus say, some of you will come and you'll say, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we do all of these things in your name? And Jesus will say, I never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. Because you can do all the things and not be clean. Whew. Don't do the churchy things and think that that's it. You still have to come to Jesus and be cleansed by the blood and have him come into your life and live for him. That is salvation. It's not churchy things. It's not doing things in Jesus' name. It's actually knowing Jesus and receiving that personal gift of salvation for you, which no one can do for you. You have to receive it yourself. For he knew who was to betray him, and that's why he said, not all of you are clean. So Judas is not like them. He's not clean like they are clean. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said, do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. So Jesus is like, you're right. I am the man. I am your Lord. I am your teacher. But look how I acted that out. Look how I lived that out. For I have given you an example that you should also do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you who do them. Okay, so I want to pause right there because that's really the extent of what we need to receive right now. Jesus is saying, I want you to do this for each other. But what is he really saying? And I'm getting a little close because I'm kind of excited. What is he really saying? And as I was in a foot washing ceremony this year, I was thinking that as I was washing feet and having my feet washed, I was thinking, I've actually had it done twice this year because I just got back from a retreat. But anyway, what was happening? Well, I have to think about the historical context because I'm a Bible nerd. I'm a Bible teacher at heart. And I have to think, what did this mean back then? This is where we have to understand the history. Back then, people walked around with sandals, if they had shoes at all. Slaves didn't have sandals. So I think typically that's the case. But you're going to have dirty feet. It's an arid place, the Middle East, where all of these stories are taking place. It's dry. And you're going to have very dusty, dirty feet. You're walking everywhere, so add some sweat into that and just the climate and the nature of the time. Think about walking through streets that might have animal excrement there. It's just kind of yucky. And so when Jesus washed their feet, he was removing things from them that they collected on their travels that day. Now I'm understanding a little bit more. Foot washing was very prevalent at the time. It was something slaves did for the people that came home that owned them. It was something servants did. It's something that needed to happen. But do we do that every day when somebody comes into our house? Well, if they wore socks, they had shoes, they take their shoes off, their feet might not be dirty. But let me tell you, it's more than the dirty feet. Because what was Jesus really doing? He was removing from them all the dirt that they had collected on their travels. That to me was the big takeaway this year as I observed foot washing and began to press into it. Jesus is saying some questions. How can I think of you more than I'm thinking of myself right now? So so do this for each other. We can absolutely do the symbolic thing of foot washing. It won't mean as much because our feet are not that dirty, but our souls are, our minds are. we're heavy with the world. We've got a lot of clutter. We've got a lot of things that might have gone on. We need somebody to help with that. That is a way that we can think of as modern day foot washing. What does it mean to be cleansed at the end of your day? When you walk in the door, how can whoever's on the other side serve you? How can you serve whoever walks into your door? Maybe you could say, how can I clean the grime of life off of you? How can I help take the grime of life? Did you have a hard day? How can I be there with you in that? What burden could I lift or help carry? Can I lead you to Christ, who can perfectly carry your burden? How can I help remove the pain of your life? Your life. See, the disciples were walking around, Jesus included, picking up the dirt of life. Every town, every interaction, every place they went, they were picking up this dirt. Well, in our lives, it's the same way, but instead of dirt that's on our feet, it's dirt that's in our soul. It's dirt that's in our mind. It's things that we've been exposed to throughout the day. It's pain. It's been part of our journey. How can I come alongside and get that cleaned? How can I serve you in that? How can I best serve you right now? Think about your families. Think about your friends. Think about people that come into your home. That's the kind of foot washing that we can do today. That's what it could look like. It could be a question of, what do you need? They needed their feet washed because that's what needed to happen back then with the way the shoes were and the way that they traveled. But what do we need today? And could that be a type of foot washing? I would propose yes, because the motive of the foot washing is to serve others, is to help them take off the things of this world, the dirt and the grime. Their life story, where have they been? Where have their feet gotten dirty? How can we sit and listen and pray and be there for one another in that way of sharing? We all know that when things come out, even though it might be hard at first, people feel lighter. I feel lighter. And so, where have you been in your life? Tell me your story. And that is a way of washing feet. Because let me tell you, we can wash feet and think we're doing a really holy thing. But what's the point when I didn't really even have dirty feet? What does it mean? Why do we do it? This is the way I operate. Why are we doing it? What does it mean for me now? My feet were clean when I got here. That's kind of what Jesus is saying. You don't need to bathe if you've been bathed, you're good. You don't need to get washed all over. So when we wash someone's feet, we have to remember the intent behind it is to remove the impurities of the world. For them, it was their feet. And it was also Jesus getting low. He had to kneel down in front of them. But can we have that posture with everyone we know? The people at the checkout, Walmart, school pickup line, Starbucks, if you do Starbucks. People in our family. How can I serve you today? How can you, when you come in, how can I think of you ahead of myself? Knowing that if this is the model that we're in, God's going to send somebody to help see me and care for me. What is your life story? There's dirt on their feet, but the dirt on our feet, your feet, my feet, it tells a story. So let's think about that kind of foot washing. Think about others. How can you serve them? Once again, it goes along the lines of, it's really not all about you. You don't live just once, you live twice. And if you're living for the second life, the life after this one, you're storing up your treasures there and you're thinking of others more than yourself. And you're helping them get free in the power of Jesus from the things that have made them dirty in this life. You're washing their feet, but in a way that makes sense today. I'll see you next week.